Akio listeners, let's learn sumo. I'm Clayton. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for joining me again. You can join me on X or Instagram at Let's Learn Sumo. Also on YouTube, where this podcast is restreamed, and you might find the odd video episode if you troll back through the playlists. More to come, so you can drop me a message or a comment on any of those platforms, and I will surely respond if you like my content. You can donate to my Kimboshi fund at the Buy Me a Coffee link in the comments. Help me pay for a few of the subscriptions that keep the channel going. Or you can just enjoy the podcast as it is. Welcome to day 9 of the November Grand Sumo Tournament from the southern island of Kyushu. Nagasaki, a little bit south of the city of Fukuoka where the sumo is. It's a really nice bay city, has some really interesting things there. I did some glamping in Nagasaki, which is really just another word for camping without the need to sleep on the ground. So on to day 9 of the bouts. Yoshino Fuji, formerly known as Kusano, he had his debut Yokozuna fight this evening against Yokozuna Hoshoryu. It was a really good, strong touchy-eyes. They both thrust at each other. Hoshoryu got himself a deflecting hit, which put Yoshino Fuji facing away from the Yokozuna. Yoshino Fuji really dug his heels in as Hoshoryu bear hugged him from behind, and instead of pushing him forward or trying to fight him to push him forward over the bales, the Yokozuna just threw him down backwards. A kurinage rear throwdown. Easy does it for his 7th win. Yoshino Fuji stays on 6 wins. Yokozuna Onosato faced Megashira 4 Oshoma. Doesn't come much easier than tonight. 2 thrusts and Oshoma had absolutely no defence. Goes back over the bales. Oshidashi for his 9th win for Onosato. Oshoma 3 and 6. Ozeki Korizukura faced Komusubi Takanosho. Takanosho struggling this week so far with only 2 wins. The Ozeki also on a bit of struggle street, but quick start at the touchy-eye by Korizukura. Probably lucky not to be called a mata, actually. Takanosho thrust at Korizukura, who gets a bit of a nod to her back. Takanosho tries for the grab and the pull down, then retreats to the bales as Korizukura chased him. He deflects Korizukura on his drive forward in the chase, but Korizukura goes on the retreat quickly in recovery as Takanosho goes forward chasing him, but he goes down front ways as Korizukura dances on the bales. Really good footwork and recovery by the Ozeki Korizukura. Hataki Komi for his 4th win. Look, he's still a chance to avoid Karaban status for Korizukura yet again. Remember, Karaban status for Ozekis, they get 1 chance if they don't get Kachikoshi. They go into Karaban status for the next tournament, and they need to get their 8 wins to stay at Ozeki, otherwise they get demoted to Sekiwake. There's an episode on that further back in the playlist on episodes. Sekiwake Ayanishiki faced Hirodumi in one of the fights of the night. Big touchy eye by Hirodumi, of course, he's always known for that. Hirodumi was trying hard to get inside on Ayanishiki's arms, and Ayanishiki was doing everything to keep him away from getting inside. They struggled as Hirodumi tried to pull a hip throw, but he just couldn't execute it. His leg was in between Ayanishiki's leg, who, instead of Yorikiriing Hirodumi from behind, he pulled Hirodumi backwards and off balance. It didn't quite work. He couldn't quite get the backwards trip, so Ayanishiki then spun on the spot, lifted Hirodumi between the legs and pushed him down over the bales. Yori Tayoshi frontal force down. Hirodumi goes down. That is Kachikoshi 8 and 1 for Sekiwake Ayanishiki, who can beat this guy. Just incredible ring sense and footwork. Sekiwake Oho, he got himself a much-needed win over Tamawashi, the veteran who just turned 41 this week. It was a really good Oshi battle, but Tamawashi delivered a Nodowa and Oho returned the Oshi favours. They thrust until Oho got himself a deflection which spun Tamawashi 360 degrees. Tamawashi was in trouble but recovered, pushed forward as Oho retreats, grabs for a Hataki Komi as Tamawashi flew forward and down to the dirt. That is 4 wins for Oho. Really good fight between Komusubi Takayasu and Megashira 1, former Sekiwake Waka Takakage. Waka goes to the right in a bit of a meet and move. You'd probably be ungenerous if you called it a hanker attempt, but he got a hand on the back of Takayasu's belt. He drove Takayasu to the bales, but Takayasu defended and came back. They struggled as Wakataka Kage, and Takayasu went to the bales. Wakataka Kage had better balance and a better, stronger grip, and he did a huge Uwatanage throw. Now, remember, Takayasu is a big man, so to pull him over Uwatanage at the bales as Takayasu went flying down and crunched into the ground, that's a pretty big move. Shows how strong Wakataka Kage is. He gets a win up there. Kirishima, he got a really good fast footwork Hatakikomi slap down on a hard-charging Hakuoho. 5 wins for Kirishima, 3 for Hakuoho. He's in that meat grinder M1 joy position, so he fights everybody up and down around him, not any weak. We've spoken about Ura flying in low, that really low stance he uses. That's his Greco-Roman wrestling roots. He used it to good effect over Wakamoto Haru tonight. Ura went low, but Wakamoto Haru, you could see he was driving Ura up, trying to get him upright, and he just kept pushing Ura upright, and Ura kept trying to go low and kept getting thrusted up, but then Ura escaped his arms, drove in low, tried to grab Wakamoto Haru, got him around the legs and drove him back over the bales into the alley, almost a rugby tackle if you like. Yorakiri for Ura, 4th win for him. Wakamoto Haru, he's on 4 wins also. An excellent move by Midori Fuji to beat Shodai tonight. Midori Fuji missed the belt grip off the Tachi-Eye. Shodai took advantage, drove Midori Fuji back. Midori Fuji was trying for an inside grip, so Shodai was trying to stop him, of course. He doesn't want to let him get in under the shoulder. Shodai drove, and Midori Fuji was back on the bales. Shodai was a little bit too far forward, and Midori Fuji got his arm, pulled Shodai around by the shoulder, was almost a Kotanage, moved his feet enough at the last minute, and he threw the net as Shodai went down behind him, trying to grab Midori Fuji's leg. They called that the Amiuchi fisherman's throw, so-called, because it looks like a fisherman throwing his net over his head. Great move for Midori Fuji's 4th win. He's still a good chance of Kachikoshi. Atami Fuji didn't give Daisho any chance to thrust and just Oshi'd him over the bale. 6 wins for Atami Fuji, 5 for Daisho. Ichi Yamamoto got a Hatakikomi win over Ryuden. Tsurunomi took Tobizaru for an Oshidashi win. Onakatsu got a Yorakiri win over Kimbozan. Abi got an Oshidashi win over Kodazakura over the bales. And in a battle for the leading pack, Toki Hayate and Fujinokawa, they fought it out tonight. Now, they're both on 6 wins coming into tonight. They had a chance to get to 7 wins and stay in that leading pack. Fujinokawa got on the front belt as Toki Hayate, he couldn't get any belt grip. Fujinokawa had Toki Hayate in a bit of trouble. They struggled to the bales. Fujinokawa was trying to throw Toki Hayate over the bales. Got a bit of a headlock, but Toki Hayate has a last-minute grip, tossed Fujinokawa over the bales. Yorakiri for 7 wins. That gets Toki Hayate up into that leading pack still. Fujinokawa stuck on 6. I'd expect to see Toki Hayate probably moving up the Bunsuke before the end of this week if he keeps going like this. Nishiki Fuji had a chance to move to 7 wins also, but he lost Hatakikomi slapdown to Roga. A little bit too committed in his charge. Roga disengaged and slapped him down. So that is day 9 of the November 2025 Kyushu Basho. I am not silly enough to call a Zensho Yusho for Onosato at this point, 15-0. I tried that last time and he lost on the last day, but there's probably only 2 Rikishi who can stop him at this point, and that's pretty easy, Hoshoryu and Ayanishiki. Let's see where this one goes. Join me again, folks. Hakioi, let's learn sumo.